stand still. I ain't standing still nowhere, because I ain't be no moving duck. I'm easy to kill. So be faithful. Okay, be faithful. I ain't gonna do that. Be still. I'm all over the place, and then see. Well, there's no Abraham right there, right? Because Abraham moved when Yah said move. He believed, and then he saw. Right? He didn't see him till later. Okay? So on that day, they saw Yahshua. They saw him that day. But I'm petrified. I'm all over the place, and I want to kill Moses. And they didn't see. They weren't able to see. Okay? They were not able to see what was there, or what was provided for them. And they didn't get to see him, because not tuned in. Okay? So on that day, Moses said unto them, fear ye not, stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. So as the waters blast and they're standing up, that's Yahshua. But they can't see. Right? Because they got too much other stuff going on. So in the beginning, or in the Aviv, Yah's taking us somewhere. And when He's taking us somewhere, salvation is with us. Okay? That's just the way His things are set. Let's turn to Exodus 15. Okay? So after the waters close and they're having a great time and they're blessing, Exodus 15 and 2, well 15 and 1. Then sang Moses and the children of Israel this song to the Lord, and spake, saying, I will sing to the Lord, for He hath triumphed gloriously. The horse and his rider hath He thrown into the sea. The Lord is my strength and my song. He is become my salvation. He is my God, and I will prepare Him the habitation, my Father's God, and I will exalt Him. So we're singing and praising and blessing this salvation. In this, what does it say in the verse? It says that this salvation is what? My God. He has become my salvation. He is my God. So this Yeshua, that's just kind of hanging there in your Hebrew text, now all of a sudden has became my God. I don't know if we caught that. This salvation that I was supposed to stand still in Exodus 14, but I'm in a panic, I'm going crazy, I'm flipping out, I'm going to kill Moses, I'm going to kill Aaron, I'm going to get them, and I did not really see the salvation. I'm too busy looking at the Egyptians.
And the water.
Then all of a sudden I hear, and I turn around, and I'm all over the place. And I did not get to see salvation. But this salvation came and it was so good, and we walked on dry land. I saw octopuses and big all kind of sea animals and creatures and things like I was at an aquarium before it was an aquarium. And I crossed on the side, and in this song that Moses specifically said, he said, be still and see your salvation. Now, and once these waters close, now I'm singing to and about salvation, and this same salvation that just saved me is my God. Let it sink in. John 6:44. Because Aviv, father, hand, house. John 6:44. Because He's leading them. John 6:44. Red letters. No man can come to me except the Father which has sent me draw him. and I will raise him up at the last day. Who drew him out of Egypt? Did they come out on their own? Did they start a revolution and start kicking down Pharaoh's doors? Was they outside of Pharaoh's castle protesting? Talking about some Hebrew lives matter, Hebrew lives matter, Hebrew lives matter. Or as it was been said, no man can come to me except the Father which has sent me draw him. Well, we were told to observe the Aviv, which starts out with the Father. So the Father is the one that is pulling them out. He's the one that's pulling them out. Trying to get them, trying to get us somewhere. Okay? So John 6:44, don't make him come to me except the Father which has sent me, draw him. And I will raise him up at the last day. And that's what happened. He had to draw him out, pull him out. Because it was time. It was time. All right? Aviv has always been. It just wasn't time to be initiated yet. It always been there. It's always been that same time of year, the same stuff that goes on spring. It's always been there. Right? But it wasn't called Aviv till then. Now that doesn't mean that Abraham and Isaac, Jacob, Shem, Noah didn't have some kind of understanding or some kind of something that they were doing during that time. But we know that this sets off Aviv. Aviv sets off this Pesach we're about to go into. Aviv sets it off. And it's always been there. It just wasn't time, it wasn't initiated yet. Right? I mean, we have Abraham to Isaac. Then we had Isaac to Jacob. Right? There's a lot of time. Right? We got a good 20 some odd years of Isaac. From 74, 75 to 99 or 100. We got a good quick little summary of his life. Abraham to Isaac, Isaac to Jacob. Jacob and his up and down roller coaster had to go over to his crazy Lavan Uncle Lavan. All the stuff that happened, he's ducking, he's got to deal with Esau. He has 12 sons. They get established, they get set up, and he has his favorite boy. But the other brothers don't like the favorite, they can't stand Joseph. And all this is just general time. Just general time. But then there was a day when they said, look, there's the dreamer, let's kill him. There was a time within a time. They throw him in a ditch, fake his death. He's carried by Ishmael, pulled out by Midianites, carried by Ishmael to Egypt. And now he's in Egypt. And he's in Egypt for a specific time. And then all of a sudden he's tossed in prison and he comes out of prison. And then while he's coming out of prison, there's a famine. So Aviv has always been, but it wasn't initiated yet because it hadn't reached the right time. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. Jacob had 12 sons. Eventually, Joseph had to go down into Egypt. He's serving. Now he's cast in prison. He gets out of prison. When he gets out of prison, he gets to be brought before Pharaoh. He's brought before Pharaoh. God gives him the revelation of the dream. At the same time, famine's coming at a specific time. Now his brothers, Joseph, time, Jacob, family, they come down. They're in Egypt now. And since they're in Egypt now, at some point the time of Aviv must be set. But Abraham and then Isaac and then Jacob and the 12 sons and all the stuff that had to happen to get to that time. So Aviv wasn't initiated yet. Wasn't initiated yet. When they're in Egypt, it wasn't bad. They was living good. Exodus 1 and 8. Exodus 1 and 8. Let's turn. Generations of Israelites were in Egypt, and then at a specific time, now there arose up a new king over Egypt who knew not Joseph. At a specific time, Exodus 1 and 8, there arose a new king who knew not Joseph. Then what happened? Time changed. So Aviv has always been, but it was not initiated yet, because the people who needed it weren't there yet. Things had to happen. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, all the stuff between just them three men. Everything that happened from what that we do know and what we don't know. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, 12 sons. Get rid of one son. Yah has to exalt him and go through all this stuff to get him up, just to get them into Egypt. He had to go through all that just to get them into Egypt, so that there could be a time, in the specific time of Aviv. Love and war. Whoa, it's too far. Too far ahead. Sorry. Ecclesiastes 3. Can somebody read me Ecclesiastes 3 and 8?
A time to love,
Mm-hmm.
a time to hate,
Mm-hmm.
a time for battle,
Mm.
and a time for peace.
What was that third one? A time of what?
But for battle.
Time for battle?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a specific time to go to war.
Amen.
2 Samuel 11:1. Can somebody give me that? 2 Samuel 11:1.
And it came to pass, after the year was expired, at the time when kings go forth to battle, that David sent Joab and his servants with him and all Israel, and they destroyed the children of Ammon and besieged Rabbah. But David tarried still at Jerusalem.
Beautiful. Read that first part again. Just that first
And it
part.
came to pass, after the year was expired, at the time when kings go forth to battle.
So there's a specific time where kings do what?
Go to battle.
And then you read, brother, that there was a time for...
Battle.
So there's a time for battle. So wait a minute, time out. So you mean to tell me that Abraham to Isaac to Jacob had 12 sons. All this drama in between, Joseph has to go into Egypt by his own brethren. When he gets down into Egypt, he has to be a servant, he's a slave, he gets up, he goes down, then all of a sudden he becomes a viceroy in Egypt. Yah has set at a certain time a famine. This forces the brethren to go to Egypt to get food, because nobody else had food but the Egyptians, because of Joseph, who Yah put there. This would then bring Jacob and the family into Egypt. And then at a specific time, kings do what?
Go to battle.
And then there's a certain time for battle. So in the springtime, kings, we got to handle some business. And there's one great king who never loses. I hope you don't go there with me. I hope you don't go there with me. But for this to happen perfectly, for this Aviv to be initiated, there had to be some war. So there had to be a new revolution in Egypt. There had to be a new agenda. There had to be a new movement, a new order, a new party. There had to be a new Pharaoh who knew not Joseph. And if you don't know Joseph, then you don't know Joseph's people. And if you can't stand Joseph, then I can't stand Joseph's people. And now we have a stage being set that at a certain Aviv or a time that a king will go to
Battle.
war. It's set. So from Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, the sons, Joseph, Egypt, it all had to be set up so Yah could go to war in the Aviv. Well, why would you go to war there, sir? Because I love them. People don't love people no more. So that would be hard to understand. That Yah loved Abraham and the covenant and the agreement so much that I'm going to fight to pull them out of Egypt. He loved them so much, I'm going to fight them and physically pull them out. Exodus 12. We're going to look at how he described what the description was of these people. Exodus 12. All over the place, ain't it? 14. Let's look at 14. No, 13. There's one on. Just a second. Okay, Exodus 12, I just typed it wrong. Exodus 12. And 17. Exodus 12 and 17. And you shall observe the feast of unleavened bread, for in this selfsame day have I brought your armies out of the land of Egypt. Therefore you shall observe this day in your generations by ordinance forever. So when Yah was describing bringing the children of Israel out, he called them an army or a large host. That's a vile word again. We'll talk more about that next Shabbat. But he said, I'm going to bring you out as a army, large army. Okay? He didn't say he's going to bring you out as a cheerleading team. He didn't say he was going to bring you out as some kind of coalition of friendly people. So I'm going to bring out my army. Job 38. Job 38. Look at something else that was very wise. But really Job heard. Because in this chapter, y'all doing the talking. Sometimes he can't teach us nothing because we talking. I guarantee you this, in this dialogue, Job listened. We gotta be able to listen better. That's part of our observing and watching. We gotta be able to listen better. Job 38, being verse 16. Job 38, verse 16. He asked him a question. He said, hast thou entered into the springs of the sea? Or hast thou walked in the search of the depths? Have the gates of death been opened unto thee? Or hast thou seen the doors of the shadow of death? Hast thou perceived the breadth of the earth? Declare if thou knowest it all. Where is the way where light dwelleth? And as for darkness, where is the place thereof? That thou shouldest take it to the bound thereof, that thou shouldest know the path to the house thereof. Knowest thou it because thou wast then born, or because the number of thy days is great? Hast thou entered into the treasure of snow, or hast thou seen the treasures of hail, which I have reserved against a time of trouble, against a day of battle and war? Do we peep that? In verse 22 and 23, he said, Job, have you entered into the storage house, or the treasury of snow? Have you seen the treasury, the storage, the abundance of hail that I have? And I reserve this hail against a time of trouble, against a day of battle and war. Bad memory. In 2 Samuel 11 and 1, kings do what? What did kings?
Battle.
They went forth to battle at a specific time, springtime. And then, what did Solomon say again?
Battle.
There was a time of battle. There was a set appointed time. And now we have Yah talking to Job and saying, have you seen the storage of snow? Have you seen this big treasury hall of hail that I have? And Job, by the way, this hail is used for when I decide to go to war. Exodus 9th chapter. Exodus 9th chapter. Behold, tomorrow about this time.
What verse?
Exodus 9 and 18. Behold, tomorrow about this time I will cause it to rain a very grievous hail, such as hath not been in Egypt since the foundation thereof, even until now. Okay. We'll skip. We're going to go down to 23. And Moses stretched forth his rod toward heaven, and the Lord sent thunder and hail, and the fire ran along upon the ground, and the Lord rained hail upon the land of Egypt. So there was hail and fire mingled with hail, very grievous, such as there was none like it in all the land of Egypt, since it became a nation. And the hail smote throughout all the land of Egypt, all that was in the field, both man and beast, and the hail smote every herb of the field, and brake every tree of the field. Only in the land of Goshen, where the children of Israel were, was there no hail. So, y'all opened up that storehouse, didn't you? You opened up that canned good, didn't you? You can just see angels, like with a salt and pepper shaker. Just shaking over Egypt. Just shaking. But the point is, Yah went to war. He went to war. Exodus 12 and 12. Because Exodus 12 and 12. For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and against all the gods, little g, of Egypt, I will execute judgment. I am Yah. When we look on the news and people go to war, it's never like a one-day thing. No, it's a duration of, depending on how strong your army is, of, climatic events leading to the I surrender, white flag, or just I'm coming in, taking your stuff, lay down, get down. Okay, either or. So we see with this in Exodus 9, the plague of the hail. Yah specifically told Job that I have a storage house, man, full of hail. And you know what I use it for? War. In a time of trouble, I'm going to light somebody behind up. So Yah said, I'm going to end this war. I'm going to execute, I'm going to smite the firstborn of the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and against all the gods, little g, of Egypt, I will execute judgment. I am Yah. So Abib marks Yah being with the people. And he is showing his love and affection and his commitment to what he promised Abraham. Because what did he tell Abraham? He said, yes, sir. He said, look, as far as your eyes can see this way, and as far as your eyes see that way, in this way, I'm going to give it to your seed. I'm going to give it to your descendants. I'm going to give it, all this, I'm going to give it to him. So Yah says, in order for me to give this to Abraham, they are in Egypt. Here's the problem. Part of it is that they are so entwined in Egypt. They've been living good. They've been doing this. They've been doing that. And they need to see Egypt's dark side. Because when you're in sin, you know what happens sometimes? You don't see the dark side. You like that nocturnal animal. I can see in the dark. I'm just fine. So when we're in sin or Egypt, I can see in darkness. Because what did we look at last week? What did Yah say? He said he creates what? Evil and good. He says, I made light and darkness. So the Israelites are in Egypt, but they can see just fine. They're as happy as kids in a toy store. They're just fine. So there had to be a specific time for a new king to arise and to be a thorn, which is what sin is. Right? When it was, hey, when we cross over this river, the Canaanites and the Girgashites and the Hivites, they are thorns in your eyes. That's what sin is. So there had to be a specific king to poke them. That's what really sin is. So Yah had to set up because he sets up kings and he pulls them down of all nations. So all of this is within all those different time clocks we had in the one big clock of Yah. All the different things are going on, and it's right on time.
Is it on time?
It's perfectly right on time. So we have this where Yah has promised something to Abraham, and he's like, I'm going to get these people here. And the only ways to get them here is there has to start to be a terrorist relationship with Egypt. You have to want to tear away from your oppressor. But Harriet Tubman had a great quote. She said, man, I freed 1,000 slaves. Well, that's good, Harriet. That ain't good enough. I'd have freed 1,000 more if they would have knew they were slaves. Turn to Romans 6 real quick. Off script. Romans 6. Romans 6 and 16. Romans 6 and 16. Know ye not that to whom ye yield yourselves servants to obey, his servants ye are whom ye obey, whether of sin unto death, or of obedience unto righteousness. Okay? There's no way of getting around it. Okay? So either we are a slave, we are a slave to this sin, or I'm a soldier, I'm fighting to be free. Which one is it? We'll turn back. Can't be both. Can't be lukewarm, right? Lukewarm, worst thing ever. I fight part of the time and I'm a slave the other part. I'm a mercenary. I'm a mercenary fighter. I serve the Lord and I serve myself. I serve my belly. I thought David said, man, make that table a snare. Your belly get you snatched up. Your belly get you snatched up. So we have this, now we have Yah bringing them and having to forcefully get them out of there because they're attached. So you got to see this dark side. You got to see this bondage for what it is. So you're going to have some time where you're not lavish anymore. It's hard now. It's hard now. It's hard now. And all those stories and all those oral traditions you heard of Abraham and of Isaac and of Jacob and the patriarchs that came, all those stories you heard, and of Joseph. Now you start to bethink those things. I have no hope now. Where is this salvation? Where is this Yah I've heard of? And he had to set them up so that they would want, so that they would want it. Because if Moses just went and said, hey man, it's time to go, man, I'm good. I ain't going nowhere. So Abib marks Yah being with the people, and he is showing his love and affection and his commitment to what he promised Abraham. Okay? Too far ahead. Let's go to John. John 14. We have to, that Yah loved the people, loved Abraham, loved the agreement to the covenant so much that he went through so much work to get them out, to go and to get them, to go and to physically pull them out, right? This is the story of a strong man. The strong man in the movie that goes and rescues his family. Okay, this is what's that guy named off Taken? That's the movie Taken. Kevin Costner or Neil something.
Yeah, it's
Neil Gresham. He went, man, they didn't took his daughter. He went and got his daughter. The second part, they were back in Europe again. Why would you go back to Europe again? They go back to Europe again for vacation. They took the daughter and the mom. So he went to go get them. So what did y'all do? He went to go get them. Love. Love. So this time of year, this Aviv is about love, it's about war. I love you so much. I gotta, because you know what? The last 4 or 5 months of this last year, man, this year has been rough. That boy mind is all over the place. You know, he done got off into this, and she done got off into that. You know, they done started fooling off with this now. So y'all like, I gotta go pull them out, and the best way for me to pull you out is for me to be with you. For me to go before you, to hold your hand and take you where we going. John 14, verse 1. Let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God, also believe in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you into myself, that where I am, there you may be also. And whither I go, ye know, and ye the way, and the way ye know. So he said, I'm going to prepare a place for you, or I'm going in front of you. I'm gonna lead. I'm a clear a path for you. So this is what Aviv is about. It's about that Yah's trying to get us to a specific place. He's trying to get us to a specific place.
At a specific time.
At a specific time. Hang on just a second. Backtrack. Must got excited, so skip right over this. But he is taking us somewhere. He's got somewhere to take us. He's been saying it over and over. He's been saying it for so long. He said, look, I'm going to get y'all there. But a part of him taking you somewhere is that you got to be willing to go.
Amen.
Okay? So when we look at the Aviv and the Father and the hand and the house and him taking us somewhere, Hebrews 4, I'm reading to you, 4 and 2. For unto us was the gospel preached as well unto them, but the word preached did not profit them, not being mixed with faith in them that heard it. Okay, so the gospel was preached unto them. So when we talk about hey, be still, fear not, and see the salvation. We know what we have to do. Fear not. Be still. See salvation.